Today, I want to talk about the problems with perfectionism. This is a topic that I feel strongly about, mainly because it's affected me for my whole life, and I've struggled with perfectionism. Now, for people without perfectionism, you don't know what that even means. Struggling with perfectionism is like you're never going to achieve this, so you're always trying to achieve a failing goal. And unfortunately, it affects every single part of your life. It's kind of like OCD, but honestly, I find it worse because at least with OCD, you will get something done. With perfectionism, I feel like you end up doing way more harm than good. Today I'm going to talk about good habits, habits that you think are good, but are actually probably terrible for you, your psyche, and more importantly, your progress. Number one, learning everything before trying something. So the problem with learning everything is that when you learn everything you're supposed to do and everything you're not supposed to do, you're never going to, you will get experience, but you're going to feel more prepared than you actually are, and that's a big issue. It's a huge issue. You're not more prepared. You just know more things. Experience and preparedness are often conflicted because you think that just because you have experience that you're prepared to handle any obstacle. And when that inevitably does not happen, you are going to become discouraged. And that's going to lead into the next point, which is disparaging yourself after your first attempt. You want to be perfect. You want to be great at something. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be great, wanting to be as close to perfect as you can achieve. I would argue that that's actually a good thing. That's the sign of high intelligence, and that's the sign of a person who doesn't want to fail. But unfortunately, it's also the sign of a person who hates the thought of failing so much that they would rather fail and feel bad about failing on their first attempt than just learning from those mistakes. You're not going to learn much if you just talk terribly about yourself all the time. You're not going to learn almost anything. You're just going to accept that you suck and that you did everything you could beforehand to prepare and it didn't work out. That is demoralizing, and you're going to disparage yourself for your first attempt. It almost never works on anyone's first attempt on trying a new skill, but your perfectionism has deluded you into thinking that it might because you were so prepared. Lastly is comparing your progress to other people. We know the problems with this. We know that this is an affliction that social media has kind of wreaked on this world. And it's inevitable to see other people's progress in the same skill and the same discipline that you're practicing. But when you compare it constantly and obsessively to other people's progress, you're never going to gain and attribute true happiness from your own progress, your own position. So now I'm going to help you fix this. You can fix perfectionism. Number one, you don't want to learn everything. You want to learn about the huge mistakes you don't want to make. You want to learn about the upsides of a business you want to tackle. But for the most part, you just kind of want to learn the bare essentials. As long as you learn the bare essentials, you're already 10 steps ahead of most people that will try. You don't need to know everything. I'd argue you barely need to know anything. You just need to know how to do what you want to do, and that's pretty much it. It sounds silly, it sounds stupid, but that's really what you got to do. You just got to know the bare minimum. Knowing the bare minimum is plenty. And then you want to try. Right after knowing the bare minimum, you want to give it a shot. And then after giving it a shot, you don't want to talk bad about yourself. Maybe you're worse than you expected at it. Maybe it went so much more south than you thought it was going to go. That's okay. After you fail that first time, because you got to know in your head you're going to fail. After you fail that first time, that's fine. But take notes. Why do you think you failed? You're not really going to know, but you can make a guess, right? So make that guess. Why do you think it didn't work? Why did you fail? Take notes on everything you learned throughout that experience. That's going to help way more than just talking poorly about yourself and not learning from the mistakes that you made. That's going to help way more. Now, lastly, is you want to track your progress. Now, you don't want to just like take pictures or something and call that tracking. That's not tracking your progress. That is just making progress and then documenting it. You want to track it meticulously. You want to make sure you understand what your first attempt looked like, what it felt like, and everything that went wrong. Once you start to do that and you don't compare it to other people, you're going to be much happier. You're going to say, wow, I really have come a long way in this thing that I was trying to do. Versus comparing yourself to other people, look at that. They are so much more ahead than I am. That's going to make a huge difference in practicing a discipline and trying to get better. Because now you're not competing against everybody else. You're now competing against yourself, your former self, who is clearly worse at what you do than you are now. That's who you want to compete against. You don't want to compete against randoms on the internet because that doesn't feel good. You don't know these people. You don't know how long they've been doing this for real. You don't know much, but you're going to guess. And that's bad. Don't guess. You don't need to guess on your own progress. You know where you came from. You know what you had to do to get there. You know what it feels like to fail. So don't guess. Track your own progress. Be diligent about it. Understand you are better than when you first started. You are much better. And you're going to continue to be good. And you're going to continue to improve. Don't compare it to everybody else. Perfectionism is an affliction of the mind. It's a bad one. Don't let it trick you into thinking that you're more prepared or you're better than anyone else or it's going to be easier for you because you studied more. It's going to be hard for you no matter what. Experience is a far greater teacher than a classroom. Now, you still have to learn. After every attempt and after every fail, you have to keep learning. But just know, perfectionism is not helping you. It's honestly hurting you more than you think, more than you realize, and more than you hate to admit. Fix this by thinking a little bit less, researching a little bit less, and trying a whole lot more. And don't hate yourself for being bad at something. Pretty much it. You like what you saw, subscribe. Thanks.